Blast me to Calmer's skull. It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Issue 73, Part 2, Rules, Gallery, and Mission. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but things are busy at the moment at home on the farm. So haven't had a lot of free time to myself. What free time I have had, I've usually had very little energy. So I've spent building or painting, or even just going to sleep early. But I'm back, and here we go with 73 Part 2. And as you can see, here is my completed Locust Heavy Destroyer. The only thing I do have to say is I wasn't able to leave it interchangeable. The arm snapped not once, not twice, but 3 times during painting, and it snapped in 2 different locations. So it snapped up at the shoulder and at the wrist holding the gun on. So I've just ended up gluing on the Enmatic Annihilator, as I already have a Gauze Destructor. As you can see, he's picked out lovely in the Saltec Dynasty colour scheme I'm going for my army. I have forgotten to do the gold trim there, so I will have to go back and do that. But he does look quite nice, and I can't wait to try him out on the battlefield in the mission. So let's take a look at his rules, our mission, and then I'll introduce you to the 2 armies I'll be fielding. But before all that, don't forget to, of course, give this video a like if you are enjoying the content. Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with all my mad content. And of course, there's all my links in the description down below, including the brand new Mad Merlins Patreon. Here we are then with issue 73, and we'll dive back into the pages, or what little pages are left, and we'll take a look at the Locust Heavy Destroyer's rules. So it is a single model unit, although the complete datasheet does allow you to have 1 to 3, or you can add a single one to a unit of Locust Destroyers. It has a movement of 8 due to it being Destroyer and fairly mobile anyway. It does have the fly keyword thanks to its repulsor chassis. Ballistic skill, weapon skill of 3, strength 4, tough 5, 4 wounds, 2 attacks in combat, leadership 10 and a 3+ save. The Enmatic Annihilator is a heavy 3d3 weapon with 36-inch range, strength 7 -1, 1 damage and blast. And then the Gauze Destructor is a single shot, strength 10, -4, and damage of 3d3. So it comes with the Destructor as standard and can swap out for the Annihilator. Has living metal, reanimation protocols, and command protocols. The repulsor platform rule, so it doesn't suffer penalties for moving and firing heavy weapons, which is pretty cool, makes these guys mobile and deadly. And it has the usual Destroyer Cult hardwired for destruction, so rerolling hit rolls of 1. And then it says down here you got the choice of either the anti-tank Gauze Destructor or the Enmatic Annihilator anti-troop gun. So as I got one of each, I'm going to give the Enmatic Annihilator a go in this one. And next time, I think I'll use the anti-tank, as the Space Marines will be having the reinforcements of the Servo Strike fire turret. Or Fire Strike Servo turret, even. On the back, you got a couple of abilities and tutorials. So he's a member of the Destroyer Cult, meaning he benefits from the Lord's rules, as well as the Canoptic Plasmacytes rules. And he's a repulsor platform, meaning, yes, he can move and then unload his big gun onto 10 models, getting the maximum shots for his 3d3s. But that's it for that. Can't wait, like I said, to try him out. One of my favourite units in the Necron collection. And now I have 2. I'm ready to probably add a 3rd. But we have our mission for the week. So Grinding Advance is Veteran page 14, mission 13 technically, as we are 1 page ahead due to the first page being the introduction pack. So the mission is we have to try and hold no man's land. In this mission, we can't deploy anything in no man's land at the start, or even move into the no man's land at the start of the game. So you can't do concealed positions, you can't use your Vanguard, Skitarii Ranger, advanced move. But you can use your Sky Strike and transdimensional locations to get in there after the game has started. So primary objective is to take and hold, so we score points for controlling one or more objective markers, controlling two or more objective markers, and more markers on the opponent. We also have the secure no man's land secondary objective, which both sides have to take. And at the end of each of your turn, if you control the central objective, which is number 3 on the map, this awards you additional victory points equal to the current battle round. So 1 victory point in the first round, 2 victory points in the second round, and so on. So it's all about controlling the center of the battlefield and pushing your advance forward. Right, and let's take a look at the 2 armies I have to field in this 75 power game. And we'll start with the Imperium. Here we have my 75 power Imperium army in a single 50 plus power detachment. So we'll start at the top of the list. So we have a Tech Priest Dominus with a trio of Cataphren Destroyers. He's been upgraded to the Genitors, just hope I remember to use it. For my Warlord, I've got the Canoness here. So she has Emperor's Grace as usual, and the Beacon of Faith Warlord trait, giving her a extra miracle dice that only she can use each turn. We've got the Battle Sisters, the Seraphim, the Sisters Repentia, the Repentia Superior, the Arco-Flagellants, and the Penitent Engine. So pretty much all of our sister stuff there. For the Space Marine detachment of the Force, we've got a Primaris Lieutenant, Primaris Captain, 10 Assault Intercessors, 5 Assault Intercessors, 3 Outriders, 3 Aggressors, and 2 Victrix Guard to bodyguard the Captain. So, plans for the army: keep the heavy stuff in reserve, in deployment zone, along with the aggressors and 1 unit of assault intercessors. Send the rest of it in an advanced party into no man's land, ready to take the objectives and slay the Necrons. And you'll keep the bites on one flank and send them on around the outside, while the Canoness and the Battle Sisters hold the home objective at least, because as she's my Warlord, I don't want to put her in a position where she's going to be more squishy. I thought she deserves to be the Warlord for a change. I've usually just got a Space Marine Warlord, so it's nice to have something different, and I've been wanting to try out those new Warlord traits that we got for the Adeptus Sororitas. That's it then for my Imperium detachment. Now let's take a look at my Necrons. And here we have my 75 power Necron army in a single 50 plus power detachment. So starting at the top of the list, we have the Overlord, who is of course our Warlord with Implacable Conqueror Warlord trait. We have next to him, he's Royal Warden. We have a Scorpec Lord. And then we have good old Chronomancer there with the Photonic Transubjector. We have 2 squads of 10 Warriors, 10 with Reaper, 10 with Flayer, 10 Immortals. We have Scorpec Destroyers, a Canoptic Plasma Sight. Then we have 5 Lich Guard with Shield and Sword, 5 Lich Guard with Scythes, Locust Heavy Destroyer, Flayed Ones, and a Canoptic Reanimator. So this is a pretty good list. A nice punchy combat center here with the Lich Guard and the Scorpex. And we got plenty of ranged firepower, so I'm going to probably keep the warriors as far back as I can, give them maximum range. I'm almost tempted to bring down an extra 10 of the Gore's Flayer warriors, so that I can keep them back a little bit more and shoot longer range and not use the Reaper ones so much. They're good, but up close and personal is the only way they can be beneficial, and then you run the risk of combat. Being able to keep the range with the good old-fashioned Gore's blasters, Gore's Flayers even, is probably one of my favourite ways to go with Necron warriors. Like I said, we got a lovely defensive core. The Overlord, Scorpic Lords, Destroyers, and the 2 units of Lich Guard add a brilliant amount of combat. The Flayed ones are there just to be able to drop down and harass the enemy, possibly coming in on their deployment zone and trying to annoy their home objective. Reanimator will be bodyguarding the warriors, keeping them alive, same for the Immortals. And the Chronomancer will, I'm probably going to have him run along with the Scorpic Destroyers, give them a 5+ invuln save. For a change, I was going to do that last time, but I totally forgot during deployment, and I ended up putting him next to a load of warriors. So definitely doing things a little different this time, and yeah, giving them the honour of protecting the Scorpic Destroyers, making them a little more durable on the battlefield. That's that then. So after all that, I think it's time for me to go set up the battlefield, and I will see you after I've deployed. Here we are set up for deployment, and as you can see, I've set the battlefield up in a very thematic sort of setting. We've got the big no man's land strip, which is 24 inches between the 2 armies, down the centre with just the pipes running along it. Then either side we've got small ruins and some crates, with each army deployed around it. So we'll start with the Necrons. Right up at the top corner, we've got the Scorpic Lord, Scorpic Destroyers, and Chronomancer. In the centre, we've got the 2 units of warriors, either side of the Reanimator, with the Royal Warden, the Immortals, Lich Guard of Shields and Sword, and the Overlord, then the Heavy Destroyer, and the Lich Guard with Scythes down this corner. Only things in reserve are transdimensional location on the Flayed ones and the Plasma Sight. They're not going to be needed early, and I don't want them shot off the board. So I'm going to have them come in as a late game reinforcement. For the Imperium, up in the big building, you can't quite see, but there are the 10 Assault Intercessors in there. Then we've got the Captain, the Lieutenant, the Victrix Guard protecting both of them, and the 5 Assault Intercessors. Behind them is the Repentia Mistress, the Battle Sisters, and the Canoness. Then finally down here we got the Cataphrons and Tech Priest Dominus. The Penitent Engine. Behind the crate are the Archoflagellants. And then finally our Outriders. So yeah, pretty good deployment, I think. So we've got 1, 3, and 5 in the centre. 4 and 2 are home field objectives, so there'll be a unit of each side sitting back and holding those objectives, but the main fight is going to be over no man's land, which is the theme of the battle. All we have to do is roll off for first turn, but before all that we have time for some dramatic reading. Grinding advance. As the Necrons rally their forces in preparation for a counter-offensive, the Imperium's depleted war machine readies itself for the coming assault. The campaign on the surface has devolved into a brutal trench war, both sides paying a heavy price in blood or metal in order to gain even a few meters of territory. Control of the arterial Rukar Valley will allow the Imperium to move heavy armor and siege equipment into position. The Necron strikes aim to prevent this. Counter-offensive. Imperial forces have suffered devastating casualties. The Overlord has judged it is time to take advantage by launching a counterattack in order to drive the humans out of their defensive positions. With the valley secure, construction of the Noctilift pylon may be completed and the war won. Hold ground. The Rukar Valley offensive has begun to slow in the face of increasing Necron aggression. As the war for Kalma's skull moves into a new phase, Imperial forces have been forced to dig in and weather Necron counterattacks. They must hold ground to prevent the Xenos from pushing them back. So as we can't deploy in No Man's Land at the start, or even move into No Man's Land at the start, everything is going to have to stay pretty much where it is. The objectives for this game is to take and hold the objectives as long as possible, and we also get the Secure No Man's Land progressive objective. So at the end of each turn, we score a number of points depending on the battle round for each objective we control. So if we manage to control all 3 at the end of the battle round, that's 3 points. At the end of battle round 2, it'd be 6 points, for 2 points for each objective if we still hold them. But it's not going to be a easy one war. So all we got to do is roll off a first turn and begin our pre-game setup. Roll off a first turn. The Imperium have got 6 to the Necrons 3. And yeah, I think we will take the first turn, try and get a bit of an advance on the Necron forces. So going into battle round, where is it? There it is. 1. The Necrons are activating Protocol of the Sudden Storm, and we'll go the extra 1-inch directive for moving. Battle Sisters. I've gone for Light of the Emperor, just in case they end up suffering heavy losses. But I thought it might be a good one to try out for a change, seeing as they're going to be the more defensive force of the Imperial side. And for the Adeptus Mechanicus, we're chanting Invocation and Machine Vengeance, giving us an extra dice for charges, roll advances, and choosing the lowest. So into turn 1, Imperium gain a command point, and let's begin. Okay, end of the Imperium's movement phase, and we've moved up a little bit with our Victrix Guard, Captain and Lieutenant, and the Assault Intercessors have advanced to try and get onto the objective, which they managed to do just about with a 2. Cataphrons moved out of the building, taking aim at the Immortals. Same for the Penitent Engine, it charged up, getting ready to threaten anything that comes near. And the Outriders moved up. The Tech Priest Dominus isn't moving, but he's still with it because he's doing the action to change his battle tactic to the one that gives them the ability to ignore wounds. So hoping that they don't die before next turn when it activates. Battle Sisters and the bigger squad of Assault Intercessors are just sitting still, awaiting valid targets. So moving on to shooting phase. Okay, end of the Imperium shooting phase. The Cataphrons opened up at the Immortals, killing a grand total of 4. 3 of which came from the Plasmas, and 1 from the Phosphor Blaster. A 5th Immortal fell to the Outriders with their bolt guns and bolt pistols. And the final Outrider shot at the Lich Guard but didn't get any wounds, so they are unfazed. I did shoot with the Assault Intercessors, but I forgot that they advanced, so the one guy they killed came back, but the Lieutenant killed 1 anyway. So either way, the Warriors in the building there lost a single model. So, morale check for the Immortals. And then it's the end of the Necrons' turn. End of the Imperium's turn. Morale test for the Immortals, only failing on a 6. It's a 1, they're fine. And with that, it's on to the Necrons' turn 1. Forgot to mention, the Imperium scored 2 points for holding 2 objectives at the end of their turn. And into the Necrons' turn, my will be done went on the 5 remaining Immortals. And Chronometron went on the Scorpex. Reanimation Beam went on the Warriors at the front there. And everything moved up. We have most of these units had a +3 to their movement thanks to the Protocol and the Overlord and Royal Warden being within range of them. Lich Guard have moved out, so they're just in nice range to charge the bikes, hopefully. The Immortals are going to level their guns and try and take out some of the threats in front of them, and so is the Destroyer there, who, thanks to his fly and 8-inch move, jumped up on top of the first floor there. The Warriors in the building moved up and onto the top level, and then the Scorpex have moved up, keeping out of the way of most enemy units for the moment. So, with that, it's moving on to the Necron shooting phase. End of Necron shooting phase, and the Enigmatic Destructor managed to do 3 wounds to the biker as he failed his saves. The Immortals managed to do 2 wounds to the Cataphrons. They managed to really tank their saves. I got 6 wounds in total. I only failed 2, and I rolled 2 5s and 2 6s for the remaining saves. That's pretty cool. That's the best I think they've done on saves. And the Warriors have killed a single Assault Intercessor on those guys, so they will need a morale test. But with that, it is on to the Necrons charge phase. There's only going to be the 1 charge, which will be the Lich Guard down here. And we'll see how they chop up the bikes. So we'll get on to a roll for them in a minute. Okay, Lich Guard need a 7. 6 I'm going to be cutting it, so we'll drop a command point for a reroll. That's better, a 10. End of the fight phase, and yet the Lich Guard just carved through those Outriders. -4 and 2 damage a pop. It's just, yeah. They had 7 wounds, so that was enough to kill a lot of Outriders. I could have probably gone through a squad of 6 if they were able to go up to 6. Okay, right, with that then, it's time to move to Imperium turn 2. Here we go then, turn 2. For the Necrons, they're moving from Sudden Storm into Vengeful Stars with the extra AP on 6s. And for the Dex Mechanicus, we will go with, I think, Benediction for the reroll hit, wound, and damage rolls. So, Imperium gain a command point, and we'll begin their turn. End of Imperium movement phase. The Dominus has managed to just about move up on top of the building there, so he's within 3 inches to heal, which he healed a single wound. Pendulum Engine is going to focus on the Lich Guard, although he's probably not got a lot of chance. The Assault Intercessors and the rest of the command have moved up. Everything else is still holding back. I've been forgetting to roll for Miracle Dice, so I've got a 5 and a 3 so far for the Battle Sisters, and the Canoness has a 5 for herself until the end of the turn, or end of the battle round. And yep, that's it. Let's move then on to the shooting phase. So the Cataphrons are going to open up on the Necrons again. End of the Imperium shooting phase, and everything they could opened up into the Immortals, with the exception of the Penetrator engine, who managed to put a single wound on the Lich Guard here. Now onto the charge phase. It's just going to be the one charge. That Pentine engine is going to go into the Lich Guard and hopefully carve him up before they carve him up. End of the Imperium turn 2, and yeah, that poor Pentine engine didn't do too badly. He hit with everything, but he rolled 3 1s and a 2 for his wound, with the single wound just killing off that one wounded Lich Guard. So the Lich Guard turned around and slashed him 1, dealing 10 damage in total, which I managed to ignore just 1 of. Oh, end of Imperium turn then, and they scored themselves 10 points in the command phase, 5 holding 1 objective and 5 holding 2 objectives. And they scored an extra 2 for holding 1 central objective at the end of their turn. So, moving on then to Necrons turn 2. End of the Necron movement phase, and as you can see, everything has moved up. The Lich Guard have moved down, not the Lich Guard, the Immortals have moved down to take objective 5. The 2 units of Lich Guard have moved up into a attack position. The Overlord is standing ready with his bodyguard there. And the Destroyers are making their way around the reactor slowly. So, not a lot else to say and do, so it's moving straight on to the Necrons shooting phase. End of Necrons shooting phase, and we've lost on the Imperium side a single assault intercessor there. We have another one wounded. 1 wounded over there from the Overlord, Scorpec Lord. And we've lost half the unit of the Battle Sisters there, including the Simulacrum, as otherwise the unit would have been out of coherency. So there's a couple of morale tests to do, but first it's on to the Necrons charge phase, and we're going to have a few fights going on here. So I'll see you in a bit. End of the Necron fight phase, and yes, it's been an absolute butchery. So the Lich Guard have cleaved their way through the Cataphrons. Even with the 6-up ignore, they still didn't make enough saves to keep 2 damage from going through all the time. The other Lich Guard, with a re-roll, they managed to charge into the Assault Intercessors and Pipe. And luckily, with the +2 from being behind the pipes, I managed to shrug off more shot wounds than I would have done if I had just on my armour. But it is still just a sergeant on his own with a single wound remaining. And all he's done is 1 wound back to the Lich Guard. That's it for Necron's turn, so let's get a command phase through for Imperium turn 3. Turning over to turn 3. The Necrons are going into Protocol of Conquering Tyrant, so we've got an extra 3 inches to all our abilities, and an additional 3 inches for Lord's Will and My Will Be Done, and Rites of Reanimation abilities. It's not going to benefit him, but the Dominus will go with Incantation of the Iron Soul. And that's reminded me, actually, we do have a morale test to take for the Battle Sisters over there. Thanks to Light of the Emperor, they ignore all modifiers. So, yep, they're fine. 2 + 5 is 7. And the Imperium gain a command point, and we'll begin turn 3. Okay, end of the Imperium movement phase. The Captain, Lieutenant, and Victrix Guard have moved back in order to benefit the larger squad of Assault Intercessors when I bring them in to the play. The Repentia and Mistress have moved up, allowing me to lend their support to any combats that happen soon. The Archoflagellants have been given the go-ahead to go into something. The aggressors have come on from strategic reserve here and are going to focus on the Immortals. Right, on the backfield we've got the Seraphim coming in. I dropped a command point for Deadly Descent and 2 more command points for Defenders of the Faith so that I can got a 3 round of shooting at the Warriors. The only 2 shots I got through they shrugged off, except for the plasma pistol, he reanimated. And then over here, the Defenders of the Faith is activated, meaning they can ignore the normal rules for rapid fire guns, and they can't be wounded on better than a 4. So moving on then, we've got the Imperium's shooting phase to go ahead, and hopefully we can do some damage to some deadly units. Wow, just had an impressive shooting phase from the Imperium forces. So starting down here then, we had the aggressors open up their Flamestorm gauntlets on those 2 Immortals, roasting them with 6 wounds left to go. Dominus opened up on the Lich Guard and did nothing, but the Battle Sisters opened up on the Lich Guard, killing 2 of them with the Stormbolter, and then they managed to save on the regular bolt guns. Because that Stormbolter's 2 damage a pop, that really did benefit them there. So out of the 3 wounds that got through, they managed to only save a single one. Wasn't very good for them. The Plasma Pistol failed to wound over in the Assault Intercessors there. Captain and the Lieutenant opened up on the Scorpec Lord, putting 3 wounds, a mortal wound from the Volkite, and he failed to save on his armor from the Volkite, and failed to save his invulnerable save from the Captain's Plasma Pistol. I really should have overcharged. The Assault Intercessors in the building opened up with their heavy bolt pistols. Only 7 of them could actually see the Scorpec Lord. The other 3 are in the corner, couldn't quite see him. And they failed to do anything. Seraphim over in the back corner there. Their first round of shooting didn't do too well, but their second round resulted in a single dead warrior. And they pulled away from closest to them, so it's going to make charges a little harder. Speaking of charges, it's time for the Imperium's charge phase, and then the fight phase. So, I'll be right back after this. End of the fight phase, and no charges were completed. Even with the reroll, the Archoflagellants fell too short. No, 3 short. They only got a 7 second time around. So Seraphim got an 8, and they needed a 10. So both charges that were going to be made failed, and the fight phase ended up with 1 dead Space Marine. They can't consolidate because it's going to take them all their movement to get to the other side of the pipe, so they're just going to stay with a 2. Either way, they are in control of that central objective, which denies valid points to the Imperium, meaning they've only scored us 5 points for holding their home objective this turn, leaving them on 19 to 10, and the Necrons are about to score some heavy bonus points, hopefully. So here we go then with Necrons turn 3. Okay, end of Necrons movement phase. The Warriors over yonder have rejiggled a little just to get a few more guys in range. Warriors here are staying firm. Reanimation beam went onto them. My Will Be Done was just in range thanks to the bonus range boosts. So the Will Be Done is on those Lich Guard again. These Lich Guard are falling back in order to deal with the aggressor threat. And the Locust Destroyer has moved down in order to claim the objective there. Scorpex are moving out over there, ready to charge some of the Ultramarines. And the Overlord is moving up behind his bodyguard. Over here, we've got the Flayed Ones coming in from reserve, up behind enemy lines, much like the Seraphim tried to do. And the Plasma Sight has come in as close to the Scorpic Destroyers as possible, which was just by the Chronomancer there. There's a good chance it's not going to be there at the end of the turn, because he's not going to be within range unless the Scorpex fail the charge. So, moving on to Necrons shooting phase. End of the Necrons shooting phase. The Victrix Guard are wounded thanks to the Scorpic Lord and the warriors on the building there, managing to put a wound each on him. 2 wounds on a single aggressor down here from the Locust Destroyer. And we killed 2 Seraphim with the warriors that were in range with their Gorz Reapers. The Overlord, I decided to add an extra 3 inches for his run move to get him up to behind the Lich Guard there. So I did that before I moved into the shooting phase. And the Overlord did attempt to shoot at the Seraphim, but the one hit failed to wound. So with that in mind, it's time for the Necron charge phase. And let's hope we can intercept that Lieutenant with the Lich Guard here. And we'll try and go for these aggressors with the other Lich Guard. Here we are at the end of Necron's turn 3, and there isn't a lot left of the Space Marines. The aggressors managed to defeat the Lich Guard down here. The Victrix Guard managed to kill off 2 of the Scorpic Destroyers before they got a chance to fight. I went with the Flayed Ones first. I should have gone with something else, maybe the Scorpex first. But that did open up a chance for the Ultramarines to intervene, and it benefited them pretty well. The Battle Sisters, there's only a Superior left, and the Canonesses took a single wound as the Flayed Ones charged in and then got in range to pile around. There's only 2 Flayed Ones left, so swings and roundabouts. Lieutenant is on 2 wounds remaining, so he's took 3 from the Lich Guard. There's 1 Victrix Guard left alive, and the Captain is dead. So the Assault Intercessors might help swing the battle, but at the moment the Necrons are sitting on 26 points to 19. It's going to be hard pressed for us to score. I'm going to call the video there, but I might just play out the next turn for the Imperium at least to see how things go. If it would be looking like an Imperium victory, I will let you know. But that's it. I'm going to call it a Necron victory for the moment. And yeah, I've learned that 2 units of Lich Guard are just as deadly as 2 units of Destroyers, if not more so. And I just realised I should have been a 5+ save, not a 6+ save for those Scorpex that died, because the Chronometron was on them. Fiddlesticks. Oh well, like I said, I'm going to leave it there. I think it's been a good game. I've had great fun, and yeah, Necron victory at the moment. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, don't forget to, of course, like, share, and subscribe for more mad content from myself. And don't forget, there's all the links in the description, including the Mad Merlins Patreon. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on the Imperium Journey. Goodbye.